to meet yourselves? Yeah, thank you. Let me start with a short story. Once, two friends were walking along the banks of a river. Accidentally, one of them slipped and fell into the river. While just being carried away by the current, he caught hold of a huge rock which was there in the river. The river's current was very strong. So something had to be done immediately before he would be by the current of the river. Now the other friend who was standing at the banks, along with a few others standing there, decided to help him. Since they did not have any rope or tools, they decided to cut a branch of a tree so that they can pull him out of the river. But unfortunately, the trees around the river were all huge. And all the small branches were at the top of the tree. The branches they could reach to were all huge and big ones. So they're not able to break it. So one by one, each of the people who were trying to help, they gave up. Besides, the current of the river was gaining strength. So out of fear, one by one, each of them left, with only the boy trying to help his friend. But after a while, the current broke the banks. The water was now flooded on the banks. So people who were gathered there, who were watching the boy trying to help his friend, warned him to get back to safety and accept of his friend who was still clinging on to that stone. But as he was determined, he did not get back. He went on trying and trying hard to cut a branch of a tree with his bare hands. But then the people started shouting at him, hurling with him abuses that he's mad. Why is he not accepting that river is almost trying to break into the bank and everyone is in danger? But he was determined to help his friends. Finally, after long hours of struggle, the boy succeeded in cutting a tree and saving his friend. How? You may ask. For that, you'll have to wait till we reach the end of today's meeting. I'm sure by the time we reach today's end, Toastmaster Rithik will have the answer for us. He's going to showcase to us how we are all limitless in what we can achieve if we are determined towards our goal. With this, let me declare open yet another amazing session at Vellore Toastmasters Club. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 54th meeting of Vellore Toastmasters Club. Now, before we hop on to this amazing ride, first things first, the simple rules. Kindly keep yourself muted and unmute only when you're speaking. Also, kindly try to keep your cameras on. We'd love to look at your beautiful faces. Please abstain from using your mobile phones during the meeting and use the chat box appropriately. And last but not the least, my special twins, don't forget to have some fun and make a few mistakes. With this, let me hand over the proceedings of the meeting in the able hands of our President, Toastmaster Tamilarsi. Toastmaster Tamilarsi, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vijay. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to the 54th session of Vellore Toastmasters Club. It's very pleasure to see you all here and nice to see all the guests. And also, I welcome Toastmaster Michelle from Fogo for our VT's 54th session. I'll be your presiding officer for today. There was a young man who made his living by selling balloons at a fair. He had all colors of balloons. Whenever his business was slow, he released helium-filled balloons into the air. When the children saw the balloons, they wanted to buy one. They would come up to him and buy a balloon, and his sales would go up again. He continued this process all the day. Then one day he felt someone is tugging on his shirt. He turned around, and then a little boy asked, "Uncle, if you release black color balloons, that would also go up in height?" The boy, the man replied with sympathy, "My son, no, the color doesn't matter. The thing within the balloon that makes it go high. The same thing applies for our lives also. That is, what is inside. That is the counting. The things made us, the things inside of us that makes us go up high is our attitude. So good attitude is a basic thing for all the activities to reach the success. Then, what's the limitations of all these activities? These things will be discussed by our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Rithik. Let's welcome Toastmaster Rithik.
Oh my God. What have I gotten myself into? TMOD? I didn't even knew the meaning of it until the day I was made TMOD. Maybe I should call Rahul and tell him to put me in some other easier role. I think I'm not good enough. What if I mess it up? What will people think of me? Welcome. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to 54th session of Vellore Toastmasters Club. Limitations, we have it all in one form or other. While I was worried about my limits, I happened to remember the story of Jonathan Seagull, the bird without limits. Let me tell you his story. Once upon a time, there lived a seagull called Jonathan, and he saw the world not as always it was, but as perhaps it could be, a world without limits. Most gulls did not bother to learn the simplest facts of flight, how to get from shore to food and back again. For most gulls, it was not flying that mattered, but eating. For this gull, though, it was not eating that mattered, but flight. Jonathan loved to fly. This kind of thinking he found was not the way to make oneself popular with among other birds. Even his parents were dismayed as Jonathan spent whole days alone making hundreds of low-level glides, vertical dives, inverted spin, always experimenting with his flight. Why, John, why? His mother asked one day. Why is it so hard to be like other girls? Why don't you leave flying to eagles and falcons? Why don't you eat, son, your bones and feathers? I don't mind being bones and feathers, Mom, said John. I just want to know what I can do in the air and what I can't. That's all. I just want to know. Other gulls never understood him, and Jonathan never really understood them. Low-level glides was considered as disgrace and dishonor by the other gulls, but for Jonathan, he found out when he flew at a lesser altitude, he could stay in the air longer. For most gulls, speed was only for falcons and eagles. But for Jonathan, speed was power, speed was joy, and speed was pure beauty. Most gulls believed that the life is the unknown and the unknowable. We are put here in this world to stay alive as long as we possibly can. But for Jonathan, he believed that through flight, we gulls can lift ourselves out of ignorance and find ourselves as creatures of excellence, skill, and intelligence. We can be free. While other gulls lived within the limits of the society, Jonathan broke every limit of the society. One day it happened. Jonathan was called to stand to the center for shame in the sight of his fellow gulls for his reckless irresponsibility, violating the dignity and tradition of the gull family. He was casted out of the gull society, banished to a solitary life. Now, before I continue my story, it's time for a short break. While we are on the break, let me call our general evaluator for the day and her tag team to brief us little bit about the rules and regulations to maintain during speech. Calling upon our general evaluator of the day, the speaker with radiant smile, Toastmaster Tamil Arasi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rithik. Good evening once again, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I will be your general evaluator for today. My role as a general evaluator is to evaluate the speakers, the evaluators, role players, and table topic speakers. To help me out, here I have tag team, timer, off counter, and grammarian. First, I would like to call the timer for today, Toastmaster Saumini.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm Saumini, and I'll be the timer for today. It's my duty to keep track of the length of your speeches and report at the end of the day. For prepared speeches, I'll show my green card at 5 minutes, yellow card at 6 minutes, and red card at 7 minutes. For table topic speeches, the green card will be shown at 1 minute, yellow at 1 minute 30 seconds, red card at 2 minutes. For individual evaluations, the green card will be shown at 2 minutes, yellow card at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and red card at 3 minutes. That's it. Over to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Saumini. Next, I would like to call our counter for today, Toastmaster Bharat.
A very good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. So, a speech is something that has to create a great impact on the audience. But while delivering the message, few things may interrupt your speech and your message to the audience. It is more like speed breaker on your path. So I'll be the counter for today, and my work is to keep track on the R's, like, and so, and if there is any repeatable words or any long pauses that may interrupt your speech. So please keep track on your speech and please try to avoid those fillers, and I will present my report at the end of all of your speeches. Over to the grammarian of the day.
A energetic evening to TMOD of the day, fellow Toastmasters, master and guest. Before I'm going to tell my role, I would like to relate one thing here. That is a similarity between mathematics and English. Did any one of us watch a resemblance with that of one another? Don't worry, let me clear it. Do you people agree with that? With the help of formulas, mathematics will be that much easy? If yes, please raise up your hands. Then, like the S, thank you, S. Then, like that, a grammar also is a formula to learn and speak English well and good. Think it off. And it's time to introduce my role. I am Toastmaster Sadhana, your grammarian of the day. My job is to introduce the word of the day and encourage its uses by speakers, evaluators, and table topic participants. I will note who uses the word of the day correctly or incorrectly. I will listen to the word usage and note any awkward or a misuse of English language, such as incomplete sentence, incorrect grammars, and malpropism, etc. Now, I will share one screen with you because now it's time to reveal the word of the day that I'm going to tell you people. Is it visible to all?
Yeah.
Yes. What is there? The word of the day is sluggish. We have to pronounce it as sluggish. The meaning of this word is slow moving or inactive. The day-to-day life, in our day-to-day life, we are using the slow moving or inactive, laziness, some kind of usual words. But to improve ourselves, we have to use a different words in our day-to-day life to improve our English fluency rate. So that's it. I have introduced this word of the day today to you people. An example will show you already in the picture. In that picture, can you see a baby girl is sleeping on the bed? Yes. After eating heavy lunch, we feel tired, right? So this is the example for sluggish. A heavy lunch makes me sluggish in the afternoon is a very good example for this. And also we can use a sluggish. I am listening. I feel sluggish after listening all my lectures. So this is also a kind of sentence that we can use it here. And that's it. Over to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sadhana,
Thank you.
for your nice introduction of word of the day, Lakish. So, just a few housekeeping rules are there to follow for our session. That is, please use the word. If anyone uses the word of the day, please show thumbs up to motivate them, and make sure that you don't leave the meeting when some speaker or evaluator is speaking, and please mute your phone when someone is speaking. To help me out for our guests, let me tell you how regular Toastmaster session will go. The first segment is the prepared speeches. In that, there are few members are there. They will already informed that they come prepare and they will give the speech. Then there will be evaluators who will evaluate the speakers. Then before this evaluation, one segment, that is the table topic segment, is there. In that, everyone, even the guests, can participate in 1 to 2 minute impromptu speech. Finally, I, as a general evaluator, will give the evaluation of the whole session at the end of the meeting. So, before we start our session, now I call our TMOD for the continuance of the session. Over to Toastmaster Rithik.
Thank you, General Evaluator and tag team, for that brief description. Now, where was I? Ah, Jonathan Seagull. Crazy little bird, isn't he? So let's get back to him. Jonathan Seagull spent rest of his days alone. His sorrow was not solitude. It was that other gulls refused to believe the glory of flight that awaited them. They refused to open their eyes and see. He learned more each day. He learned that a streamlined high-speed dive could bring him to find the rare and tasty fish that schooled 10 feet below the ocean surface. He learned to sleep in the air, setting a course at night, covering 100 miles from sunrise to sunset. In the very times where every other gull stood on the ground, knowing nothing but mist and rain, John flew through heavy sea fogs, climbed above them to dine there on delicate insects. What he had once hoped for the flock, he had now gained for himself alone, and he was not sorry for the price he had paid. Jonathan Seagull discovered that boredom, anger, and fear are the reason that a gull's life is so short and limited. With these gone from his thought, he lived a long, fine life indeed. And with that, it's time to move on to the prepared speeches. There is no limit on how much you can learn and grow. The next speaker here is to test her limits, learn and grow in the process. It's time to call our first speaker. But before that, let's call her evaluator, the youngest, the ever so dynamic TM Rahul, Toastmaster Rahul.
Cool. Am I audible? Yes. Okay. Cool. So today, Toastmaster Michelle is going to present her second speech in high-level leadership in her path, innovative planning. In her first speech, she shared about her plan and what she wants to achieve. And today, she is going to share her experience of completing this project. For the benefit of the guests and the audience, here are her objectives. She will be sharing her experience on completing this project. She will be delivering an engaging speech. She is free to choose any style that she is comfortable with, be it informative or humorous or whatsoever, but has to ensure that the style goes with the content. And lastly, this speech is not going to be a report, but going to be her insights as well. And Toastmaster Michelle, I'm wishing you all the best for your speech. Over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Rahul. Toastmaster Michelle, the divine proposition, the divine proportion, sorry, not proposition. Toastmaster Michelle, the divine proportion, Toastmaster Michelle.
Am I audible now? Is that fine? Okay. Yeah, I'll start in a few seconds. Life's most beautiful things are not seen with the eyes, but felt with the heart. Good evening, Toastmasters and friends. During my last speech, I explained how I felt when I came across the concept of the divine proportion while reading a book. I went on to talk about my plan of going into the depths of it to figure out the kind of revelation I'll stumble upon during it. So here goes. The golden ratio is a mathematical term given to the phenomena of two lengths when divided by a formula is equal to the number phi. The divine proportion or the golden ratio, or simply phi, which is 1.618, is a unique number in algebra and can be seen in nature. It can be seen on the face and body of a human. It can be seen on a flower petal, art, animals, Fibonacci series, even architecture for that matter. They say that in the human body especially, the measurements are based on 25 proportions and proportional rules given by the Vitruvian man. Obviously, one of Leonardo's exceptional pieces of work. The unique properties of the golden rectangle provide another example in shells. The shape, a rectangle in which the ratio of the sides is equal to the golden mean phi and can result in a nesting process that can be repeated into infinity, which takes on the form of a spiral. The Milky Way has several spiral arms, each of them a logarithmic spiral of about 12 degrees. Phi appears in petals on account of the ideal packing arrangement as selected by the Darwinian processes. Each petal is placed at an angle that significantly suits phi, and it's done so that the exposure of sunlight is suitable there and can support numerous other processes. The most profound example of honeybees following the same are the dividing number of the females to the males in a colony. The DNA molecules measures 34 Armstrong by 21 Armstrongs wide for each full cycle of the double helix spiral. These numbers are part of the Fibonacci series, and their ratio is 1.618, closely approximates to 5. The Renaissance artists used the golden mean extensively in their paintings and sculptures to achieve balance and beauty. Leonardo da Vinci, for instance, used it to define all the fundamental proportions of his painting of the Last Supper. I know that the above are extremely confusing and heavy, and imagining it would have taken you on a spiral. I was up all night myself trying to measure different parts of my body, trying to see if it's legit, and some of them were more than legit. So let's get into the fun facts of it so that you get your attention back. Scarlett Johansson's body ratio is 1.54, which is 96.4% of the golden ratio. Another one, Kim Kardashian's body ratio is 1.558, which is 96.3% of the golden ratio. I don't know if it helped or you just went to that now. Anyway, so I didn't talk about the different examples of the golden ratio to give you a technical lecture and say bye. I know that you're all hoping for it to end soon, but I did talk about it because I wanted to convey how something so irrelevant and unknown to many for a huge amount of time can suddenly make so much sense in a second. How something that looks so insignificant probably dominates the way nature or even our bodies are built. How those little things we didn't even give attention to are all around us or on us. And the moment you come across it, you get so intrigued that the way you see life prominently changes, because it's something you've never seen before and you're suddenly coming across it. And the moment you do come across it, don't you look back and realize that this is how you've learned and understood most of your life lessons? You go ahead with life not knowing the full potential of the world around us or even our own potential. And one day, something happens, intentionally or unintentionally, and you become so into it, so focused on it, that in the end you become so overwhelmed. Something that makes you feel like you get life now, the reason behind your existence or the purpose in life, or even just a simple fact that can make life look prettier and more sensible. Here for me, it was the golden ratio that nature and every single one of us are specimens for. It could be something else for someone else in the next moment. How uncertain can life be, and how suddenly, all of a second, it all seems to make sense. How this tiny, small number had so much of a power on me. The power of those little things. How there is no limitation to how grasping something can be. And it makes us all appreciable of everything we live around. I don't know if a lot of you can imagine yourselves doing those during those times when you come across something small which made you a different person altogether. I don't know if you're going to relate when I say that something so unexpected can have a powerful impact on the way you have never imagined before. Otherwise, it's just me getting old and getting fascinated by boring concepts. I mean, I was the loser staying up all night measuring myself with a tape. Very possible. But I cannot not emphasize on the effect this small number had on me. Now I'm constantly looking for more places where I can see it, which even makes me look at life differently. How I make time just to enjoy those little things, because at the end of the day, We all know that the little things in life matter the most, even if we don't see it right away. So I hope it happens to all of you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle. That's indeed a beautiful way of seeing life. That's a beautiful perspective. Now, let's take 1 minute and share our feedbacks on Toastmaster Michelle's speech. Rahul, can you share that link? Feedback link.
Mm, wait, I have to find it. But till then, you can send it to her personally.
I believe we can now continue with our session. All right. It's time to acknowledge our guest and people outside VTC, without whom this session would have been incomplete. To do so, I would like to call Toastmaster Tamil Arasi Madam.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rithik. Today's guests are Aisha Sakkal.
Yes, it's Aisha Sartaj.
And Aisha Sakkal. Only one guest is there, I think. Aisha Sakkal, please introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Aisha. I'm the VP of Fogo. I've been here. I've attended the session because my lovely Michelle had given a speech here. Her speech was really nice. So yeah, thank you.
Aisha, are you coming? Are you coming from Vellore?
Yes, I'm from Vellore. I'm studying in my engineering third year CSC. Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay. In which college?
VIT Vellore.
VIT. Okay, thank you, Aisha. Go to TMOD Toastmaster Rithik.
Thank you, Tamil Arasi ma'am. Now, are you listening? Do you want to know what happens next with Jonathan Livingston Seagull? Let's get back to him. One day, not very far from the cliffs, Jonathan discovered a small isolated island where few gulls were practicing the formation point rule. They appeared different. Their bodies were as pure as starlight. But most lovely of all was the skills with which they flew. Few gulls by the shoreline came to Jonathan Seagull. They greeted him. None saying a word. He only felt that he was welcome, and this was his home. Jonathan understood that these gulls were casted out of their societies just like him. They were his brothers. In the days that followed, Jonathan saw that there was as much to learn about flight in this place as there had been in the life behind him, but with difference. Here, here were the gulls who thought as he thought. For each of them, the most important thing in living was to reach out and touch perfection in that which they most loved to do, and that was to fly. They were magnificent birds, all of them, and they spent hour after hours every day practicing one thing, and that was flight. One evening, after his practice, Jonathan took all his courage in hand and walked to the elder gull, who, it was said, was soon to be moving beyond this world. Instead of being enfeebled by his age, the elder had been empowered by it. He could outfly any gull in the flock, and he had learned skills that others were only gradually coming to know. Chang, is there heaven after this world? Asked Jonathan. The elder smiled. No, John, there is no such place. Heaven is not a place, and it is not a time. Heaven is being perfect. You will begin to touch heaven, John, the moment you touch perfect speed, and that isn't flying 1,000 miles an hour or a million or flying at the speed of light, because any number is a limit and perfection does not have limits. Perfect speed, my son, is being there, being present in the moment. And without warning, just like that, Chang vanished and appeared at the water's edge 50 feet away, all in a flicker of an instant. And then he vanished again. And he stood in the same moment, in the same millisecond, near Jonathan. It's kind of fun, he said. Jonathan never saw something like that before, and he was dazzled. Can you teach me to fly like that? Screeched. Jonathan screeched with joy. And with that, Elder started teaching him. Elder started showing Jonathan his true nature. The trick, according to Chang, was for Jonathan to stop seeing himself as trapped inside a limited body that had 42-inch wingspan and performance that could be charted out. The trick was to know that his true nature was limitless. It lived everywhere at once across space and time. Jonathan worked at it day after day, from before sunrise till past midnight. Then one day, Jonathan, standing on the shore, closing his eyes, concentrating in all a flash, knew that what Chang had been telling him. In an instant, he realized that's true. I am perfect, unlimited gull. And he vanished just like Chang did. At last, you have got the idea, Chang said. It's time for you, John, to fly up and pass on the truth you have learned to your fellow girls. Help them see the meaning of flight. Perhaps show them what love and kindness is. As he spoke, his feather went brighter, and at last it turned so brilliant that no gull could ever look upon him. With those last words, with Jonathan, Chang vanished. Now it's time. Yeah. Now it's time for us to test our own limits, push them like Jonathan did. It's time for table topics, folks. And to conduct it, we have Master of Table Topics, our very own Vijay Surana.
Hello once again, guys. Thank you, Toastmaster Rithik. You don't know how excited I am about this role today. And you know what's the best part? As your Sergeant at Arms, I get to set the rules around here. And today I am feeling excited. So I'm gonna do some tuning. I'm gonna set some new rules around table topics. And because I'm inspired by our Toastmaster of the day, I'm going to set you all with limitless choices. You see, You're gonna all love this new rules. I bet you will. So what is the surprise? You must have all heard with power comes responsibility. So I'm gonna give some of my power to the speakers. No, 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 no. Not the powers of Sergeant at Arms, the powers of the table topic master. So what I'm gonna give? For today, the table topic speakers can choose their own topic to speak. But, there's always a but. You'll have to have 4 following fundamentals of effective communication. You see, content is always the king of any speech, but content alone will not take you to that award-winning speech. So please note down the 4 following things which I am looking forward to in the table topic speeches today. 1, I want you to have some facial expressions. 2, I want you to have some hand gestures. 3, some vocal variety. And 4, last but not the least, I want your speeches to have some take-home value. So may I have my volunteers, please? You're never gonna have such an easier session. You choose the topics. Rahul, I have you. Can I have the names? Please unmute. I have Rahul here.
I withdraw. I withdraw.
No withdrawal.
I'm joking, obviously.
So who else is gonna speak? Come on, I'm giving you the choice of your own topic. Who else is gonna do that? Only 4 fundamentals. I want you to have some facial expression, some voice modulation, some hand gestures, and take home value. May I have volunteers, please, or should I call on names? Rahul, anyone else, please? Sadhana, very good. Someone from the guest? Anyone else, please? You can unmute yourselves. I'm not able to see everyone in one window. We have Rahul, we have Sadhana. Bharat, are you willing? Bharat is playing our counter, so I'll leave him. Raghavi is there. What is she doing? Raghavi, I'm counting on you. Are you there? Oh my God, she's not in the meeting. Can you believe this, guys?
Okay. Sir, Bharat is ready, sir.
Okay, then we'll take Bharat, Rahul, and Sadhana. May we start with Rahul, please? Do you want me to repeat the 4 fundamentals?
No, sir, I made a note.
Very good. Let's start with Rahul here.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Or should I say good afternoon, because I'm in a different time zone. Today, I'm going to talk about my journey of coming to my home, Qatar. See, this journey started off the 1st of August. It started off with me applying for my exceptional return permit. And I was very fortunate enough to get it approved within 3 days. But here's the tricky part. There were no flights at all. I had a permit to come back home, but I had no flights to take me back. What a pickle I was in. But as time went by, things started to seem a bit hopeful. On August 9th, I had a flight with Air India to take me back home. And the best thing that a person could imagine did not happen. The flight got cancelled. My dreams of coming back home were shattered within mere seconds. And then again, on August 15th, I had the chance to come back. I go and do a COVID test that was required by the airlines. I paid 4,000 rupees for this test. And the best thing that a person could imagine did not happen again. The flight got postponed to 19th. And finally, after so much struggle, the flight was approved and an air bubble between India and Qatar was open. And the airline is very nice. On 17th night, they informed me that my flight is preponed to 18th. And I was this close to not seeing the email. And if I missed my flight, I would not be here right now. My journey of coming to Qatar was full of hurdles. But one thing I definitely learned is do not lose hope when there are challenges in front of you, because these challenges make you a stronger person. Over to the TTM.
That was an amazing story, Rahul, and I'm so glad to see everything which I mentioned and much more, because that story was so connected to you heart. Right? Can we have our next speaker? Sadhana, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to repeat the 4 fundamentals?
No one.
Noted them. Great, then the stage is all yours.
Thank you, sir. Okay, am I audible to you all? Yes. A very good evening to all my dear Toastmasters. And I'm here to give you a wonderful speech which is in the topic of never ever give up from your life. So I would like to connect this with my life that happened in my school days. Okay, let's go to the flashback. But it was not that much boring, but it's okay. It will just motivate you somewhere else. I'm sure about it. And now, when I was studying in 6th standard, I would like to participate in every competitions. Like I won't leave any competitions. If I'm good in that or not, that doesn't matter for me. I just started my own step into every competition, and I've listened to every my faculties what they are telling to me, and I'm just noticing that. And I will participate in a drawing competition, it may be in essay competition, it may be in speech competition, as well as so on. And do you people know that when I was 6th, I'm still going and standing in the stage for first time? All laugh at me like anything, but I don't give up, for first 5 minutes I just stand up there itself. For first 5 minutes I stand up like that, I'm seeing everyone's face, everyone's smiling. And after that I came up from the stage. From second speech I just joined again. My teacher told that, please Sadhana, don't want leave. She told, but I told, ma'am, I can. Next time give me another opportunity, I asked her. So like that I will use my opportunities for everything, whether I'm performing the good or not, whether I'm doing my best or not, that isn't important for me. Just I am upgrading myself. That's an important. So, and next to that, coming to my 7th, 8th, I didn't never get any prizes till my year. After that, at 12th, it automatically changed my life. That one day one teacher came me and told that, Sadhana, I will give you one opportunity. I hope you can and you will get a first prize. I'm sure about it. So I just practiced lot. Even nights also, I will call up my dad and tell him to stop, dad. I will tell you, just listen. I used to tell him. After that, I have gotten first prize in that. So it was unbearable thing. I will never and ever forget in my life. So that's why I'm telling you, never ever give up in your life. Just be a deaf from others until and unless you reach your success. And thank you. Over to the TTM, sorry.
That was amazing. That was amazing, Sadhana. You aced it again. You got all the things and more which I was looking for. Maybe I've undermined. I should have had 4 more rules to go. I had only the starter pack in hand. That was wrong. Now looking up to the third speaker, I know he's gonna, surprise us. Toastmaster Bharat, please.
Great. Well, so I wish to select the topic, my journey towards public speaking. Well, shyness and public speaking. Is there any relation between these two words? Yes, you guessed it. These are just two different opposite words. But I'm a man filled with both these things. I was a man filled with very big shy, but I'm still interested towards a public speaking a lot. Yes. When I was doing my seventh standard, usually when we are in Independence Day, usually a person will be called to do a speech about the Independence Day. So while doing my seventh standard, I did a speech, and during the time I was so nervous. If I just uh, tell you how it happened. So firstly, I stepped onto the stage, and this is how it started. Hi everyone, this is seventh standard, and I am studying Bharat. Yes, this is what the exact lines that I have uttered in my speech. But after that, I just got over from it and started my speech. And you know well that a person filled with shyness can not do a public speaking. But my my aim is to just broke that. And after that, after getting into my college, I joined into a competition conducted by Indian Red Cross Society. So in that, first you have to win the college level. So I won in college level, and after that, I was elected to participate in district levels by Red Cross Society, and to my surprise, I also won the first prize in that. And finally, I selected for state level, and there was 12 participants from 12 districts. I was the one to go for Vellore, and for my surprise, I didn't win, but I learned a lot from there, and I believe that participation is just enough to succeed. And that's my journey towards public speaking. Thank you.
Amazing, Toastmaster Bharat. I am surprised how much can be achieved if we are directed towards specific goals. Specifically. And I'm surprised that all the three speakers got what was important. They took a personal story, which will give us the facial expression, the voice modulation, the everything an effective speech and award speech requires. It gives us naturally. That's the key, and that's what I wanted to achieve today. It's not about the topics, it's not about what you're speaking. You need to speak your heart out. And I'm glad that all our speakers have done that today. Thank you so much to all the table topic speakers. You've done exceptionally well. And I should have been more careful in selecting the rules because you have beaten me face down, right? I should have 10. I made only 4. But you can look, to some more excitement when the next time I'm given the role by our Rahul. Over to the TMD of the day. Thank you.
That was indeed a very wonderful session of table topics, and it crossed all the limits. That we enjoyed it really. But coming back to story, as you know, stories must go on. Let's get back to Jonathan Livingston's Seagull. As the days passed, as the days went past, Jonathan found himself thinking time and again about what Chang told. He wondered if there was a gull back there who might be struggling to break out his limits, to see the meaning of light. The more Jonathan thought about it, the more he wanted to go back to his flock. For in spite of his lonely past, Jonathan Seagull was born to be an instructor, and his own way of demonstrating love was to give back to the Gull Society. With that, he bid his fellow gulls farewell, from whom he had learned so much. He held an image of the great gull flocks on the shore where he grew up, and he knew with practiced ease that he was not bones and feathers. but a perfect idea of freedom and flight, limited by nothing at all. Next moment, he vanished. Jonathan Seagull circled above the shore, demonstrating aerobatics, low-speed flights, where in the lightest of breeze he could curve his feathers to lift himself without a single flap of wing from sand to cloud and back again. He was demonstrating point rolls, vertical dives, inverted spins no gull has ever seen. 8,000 gull eyes watched without a blink. Then, as though this thing happened every day, Jonathan Seagull landed and began his critique of the flight. It went like a lightning through flock. He's an outcast and yet he have returned. Well, sure, he's an outcast, said one younger gull. But hey man, where did he learn to fly like that? It almost took an hour for the word of the elder gull to pass through the flock. Ignore him. The gulls who speak to an outcast is an outcast himself. Grey feather backs were turned upon Jonathan once again, but he did not appear to notice. Every hour, Jonathan was there at the shore, demonstrating, practicing. He flew through night and cloud and storm for the sport of it, while the flock huddled miserably on the ground. It was month after Jonathan's return that first gull of the flock crossed the line and asked Jonathan to teach him to fly. Fletcher Seagull was labeled outcast, first of Jonathan's student. Next night came another. By sunrise, there were nearly thousands of birds standing outside the class of Jonathan, looking curiously at what Jonathan was teaching. They did not care whether they were seen by the council flock or not. They were listening, trying to understand Jonathan Seagull. Jonathan's student grew larger every day, coming to question and idealize him. They were saying in the flock that you are the son of great Gull himself, Fletcher told Jonathan one morning after advanced speed practice, that you're thousand years ahead of your time. Jonathan signed. The price of being misunderstood, he thought. They call you devil or they call you God. He stared across never-ending skies and said, this kind of flying has always been there to be learned by anyone who wanted to discover it. All we have to do is push our limits, and in doing so, we realize that we are limitless beings. As the time passed, many of them had actually begun to understand the message Jonathan had brought. And it was common to see a young gull flying upside down, practicing loops and formations. Here and there were individual birds who flew acrobatics as they practiced, sometimes even better than Jonathan had flown himself. The learning curve of highly motivated seagulls on steeply off the top of any graph. And now and then were students who overcame limits so perfectly that they disappeared, as Jonathan had, from the face of an earth too limited to contain them. Now, with that, it's time for general evaluation. To do so, I call upon our Toastmaster Tamil Arasi Madam and her team.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rithik. Good evening once again to the Toastmasters and guests. First of all, I would like to call the first speaker, Michelle's Evaluator, Toastmaster Bharat, to give his evaluation.
Just a correction. I am the evaluator. So yes. So let me start with my evaluation now. Today, Toastmaster Michelle shared her experience of creating a plan and her experience in following it. Divine ratio delivered by divine voice. Yes, Toastmasters and guests. Today, icing on the cake for Toastmaster Michelle's speech was her voice, which had beautiful variation in pace, amazing volume control, and clarity. Another wonderful thing which I believe Toastmaster Michelle did was the way she combined information with a slight bit of humor in it, which definitely made the speech much more interesting for all of us. Something what I really liked about this was it was a speech which was very different. And from the title itself, it did bring that sense of curiosity in us. I, for one, was curious since the beginning, and even after the end, I'm still curious to know what does this exactly mean. But just like Toastmaster Michelle said, little things make a big difference. And Toastmaster Michelle, for you, here I have suggestions which can make your speech even more limitless. Firstly, your speech, though it was very informative, I felt there were a lot of technical terms which were involved in it. And though you did do your best to help us visualize this, there was a challenge for us to actually do so. Hence, I felt if you presented few visuals about it while delivering your speech, would have helped us to understand much better. Though your voice was an amazing tool today, there is something I feel that can be used to make it much better. That is improving your pauses. A few instances from your speech. I do not remember the exact sentence you said before, but the sentence that followed was the Renaissance, and so on. I felt there was no pause between this for us to fully comprehend what the previous sentence meant. But in certain areas, you did utilize it well. That is Last Supper. After the Last Supper, you did pause. We could visualize the picture. Now, how I suggest you can improve this is when you write your speech, you can mention where all you have to pause in the script itself. Either you can do it by adding a slash or breaking the paragraph right there. And maybe it can be achieved with a bit of practice because I noticed that whenever you were speaking fast, the pauses were shorter. And whenever your pace was slower, your pauses were longer. Lastly, is just about your body language. So it was very good with the use of hand gestures. One thing I felt was the hand gestures were a bit more closed. I felt they could have been a bit more open. For example, when you said something so insignificant to dominant. Now, you did extend, which did show that the effect of dominant in it. But if you opened up a bit more, it would have definitely had a greater effect. Similarly, a lot of times in your speech, I noticed that your hand gestures were like this. Likewise, if you could open up a bit more, it would open up you to the audience more. To summarize, you had amazing voice modulation in terms of the pace, the volume, and the clarity. Your speech was informative with a tad bit of humor, and the title did build a sense of curiosity from the beginning till the end. And the things you can improve on are just maybe adding visuals, focusing on the pauses, and your body language. Over to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rahul. Next, I would like to call the tag team. First of all, I would like to call the timer for today, Toastmaster Saumili, to give our report.
Hello again. So let's see the report for today. For the prepared speech, PM Michelle George took 7 minutes 4 seconds to complete her speech. And as we didn't have a second prepared speech for today, So, moving on to the table topics, PM Rahul took 2 minutes 29 seconds. It was in the border, which almost gave me a heart attack. And PM Sadhana took 2 minutes 20 seconds. PM Bharat took 2 minutes and 16 seconds. For the individual evaluation, TM Michelle's evaluator TM Rahul took 4 minutes 20 seconds, which is, I think, 40 seconds above the buffer time. So some say that time is money, some say time is gold, but actually time is life. So by not being sluggish and finishing within your time, almost everyone has proven that you are well aware of the fact that time is life. Over to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Soumini. Next, I would like to call the accountant for today, Toastmaster Bharat, to give his accountant.
Well, I'm back with the counter report. So for prepared speeches, the speaker one, Toastmaster Michelle. So she had less than 5 arc counts and no long passes. And moving on to the speaker's evaluator, Toastmaster Rahul. He has no arc counts and as well as no long passes. And moving on to the table topic session. So first speaker is Toastmaster Rahul. So in that he had less than 5 accounts and few passes. And the second speaker is Toastmaster Sadhana. So she has done less than 5 unts. And as an accountant, my role is to find out the long passes. But in Toastmaster Sadhana, I feel that you may have some passes to make your speech clear. That's a little suggestion. And the third speaker is me. So finally, it's glad to see that no people were sluggish in delivering these ideas to audience. And over to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bharat, for your outcome report. Next, I would like to call the grammarian for today, Toastmaster Sadhana, to give an
Coming back, my dear Toastmasters, once again a very good evening to all, and I'm here to give some corrections and also not a corrections. I'm going to appreciate you people for your grammatical rules. Okay, and next, first speech was given by Michelle, right? So Michelle's speech was very really good, but she uses 2 words, that is word of the day called prominently, and she used emphasize, which will be much which is very good in a speech. And next, coming to table topic, first speaker is Toastmaster Rahul. There is no misuse of the word, and use of the English language is also seems good. And coming to second speaker Sadhana, that was given by your peoples and not by mine. And next, coming to Toastmaster Bharat, you did very well actually. There is no lag in your speech. The English language that you used is very well and clear. I'm sorry. Okay, fine. And coming to evaluators. So general evaluators, Toastmaster Tamarasi ma'am uses, and there is no misuse of the words in her speech, and the English language is also, the use of the English language is also good. And evaluator 1, Toastmaster Rahul, he used 2 word of the day. It was literally appreciable. The idiom he used is icing on the cake, which gives us a positive way of feedback to them. So that's it. And it was a really good idioms. So let's give a big applause to Toastmaster Rahul in this platform. And next, he used a second word of the day called curiosity. A curiosity in the sense, desire to learn something new. So and that's it. Thank you. Over to the general evaluator.
thank you, Toastmaster Sadhana. Next, I will give my report. Today, the first speaker, Toastmaster Michelle's evaluator is Toastmaster Rahul. He gave an excellent report. His report was, he appeared in very comfort manner and he attracted the audience awareness. And his facial expressions are good and hand gestures are also good. His vocal variety about the tone is also good. He shows good pitch. And he shows a very good pitch in a speech, and he specified all the all the points about Toastmaster Michelle, that about the structure of the speech, and she made an objective, and the speech as a good mixture of informative and good perspective, and she attracted the audience attraction, and she showed a good facial expression. But some suggestions I want to add for the Toastmaster Michelle. If she had already Toastmaster Rahul specified some, if she had some visual aids, that is, if she expressed in some more understandable manner, or a more description means, with some pauses, it will be, the speech will go to next level. And if she had some more interactions, or if she had some more humorous means, it will be very nice. So Toastmaster Rahul specified the all other things. Next, coming to table topic session, the first table topic speaker is Toastmaster Rahul. His speech had a good structure and with good message. The table topic speaker 2 is a Toastmaster Sadhana. She showed a very excellent facial expressions, and she delivered about his continual trying and how she reached her success. And the table topic speaker third, Toastmaster Bharat. Toastmaster Bharat gave the table topic speech about the mixture of his shyness and public speaking, and how he overcame all these problems, and how he reached his success. So his speech had a good valuability. And the Toastmaster, coming to TMOD, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Rithik, he gave a very inspiring story. I didn't expect, he's very fresh and new one, but he gave very inspiring story, and all of them attentively listened the script. He also played with magic of words. And coming to table topic master, Toastmaster Vijay, I appreciated him for his different way of handling of selecting the topics. It's very lively one, and with a very meaningful one. And coming to role players, timer Toastmaster Saumini, she related time with life, very good. And the accountant for today, Toastmaster Bharat. Toastmaster Bharat, he gave a good report. And coming to grammarian for today, Toastmaster Sadhana, she related very well English subject with the math subject, and very good point outs of all the members' usage of words. Well done, Sadhana. And coming to the overall session of our today meeting started only at around 4:40 p.m. But I think we will finish at very quickly. But from next session onwards, we'll try to start with on time. Other than these points, all of them performed very well, and it's very interesting. We played very interesting session today. Very simple and interesting session. Kudos to all speakers, evaluators, and role players. And over to TMOD Toastmaster Rithik.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tamilarisi Madam. That was indeed a very brief intro. Brief evaluation. And thank you, tag team. Now it's time for conclusion. Before I conclude, let me share this presentation as I always do. You know, it is said that Jonathan Seagull is born time and again, taking different lives to show the world that we can find fulfillment and higher purpose in life. Against the conventions of his society, he seeks to become the best at doing what he loves. Jonathan shows us that if we follow our dreams, we can truly soar. And it is the same Jonathan that lives within you and that lives within me, waiting to be discovered. Remember, stop seeing yourself trapped inside a limited body. The trick is to know that your true nature is limitless. You live everywhere at once, across space and time. So let's stop being sluggish. Let's be limitless. And with that, I'd like to pass on the session to our president. And before that, there's a short disclaimer to make. The story of Jonathan Seagull was inspired from this book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bash. You can read it. It's very inspiring story. And with that, have a nice day. Over to the president.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rithik, for your humorous role. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope we all had a great session today. Hope to see you all in the next session as well. And today, all of them performed very well. I'm not able to say anything. At first, our essay, that is Vijay sir started with a very twist. We are eagerly waiting for his conclusion. And the Toastmaster Rithik, I didn't expect that from like that performance. During his first speech, he told that he was very afraid like that, but within this short duration, he practiced very well and he came up with the TMOD. TMOD role is not an easy one. You have to plan a lot, you have to think a lot. But very kudos to Toastmaster Rithik, and I'm expecting our new members, Toastmaster Bharat, Sadhan, Saumini, all of them for handling like this with different ideas. Next one is our table topic master, Toastmaster Vijay sir gave a new way. It's also very interesting one. With all of the new, it's a lively one. And Toastmaster Sadhana performance also very good. I'm expecting every time a new idea from Sadhana. Any new messages she will tell. Like that I'm expecting. And Toastmaster Saumini also performed very well with the comfort and clarity. And Toastmaster Bharat, next TMOD I'm expecting from you. Are you all of them? I'm very much happy. Our VTC is developing like that. All of them performing very well. Due to you all members, I'm also feeling very young and interesting to find out new things. I'm very happy our VTC is developing like that. And thank you all. And thank you Toastmaster Michelle for coming to VTC and gave you a very good speech. And hope we had a very excellent session today. And have a nice weekend. Over to SA.
How to end a sluggish Sunday with lots of excitement. I have the Toastmasters meeting in the evening. What else to look forward? Coming to the topic of the day, true power lies within. We are only limited by our thoughts. And if we were not to limit our imagination, we could achieve any impossibility. This brings us back to the boy who with his bare hands chopped down a huge tree to save his friends. How did I do this? Well, that boy was deaf. Yes, you heard me right. He couldn't hear. So when the people around him were shouting, abusing him, asking him to stop, he was imagining that they are cheering for him. They are motivating him. So his misbelief of pulling down became inspiration, and he started to believe in himself. He knew that yes, I can save my friend no matter what. That's how impossibilities are achieved. Two things we are taking home today. One, believe in yourself always. You are truly limitless. Two, surround yourself with people who are going to say that you're limitless, who do not question your limitation. Perseverance, hard work, dedication, and self belief are the ingredients of being truly limitless. And with this, we come to the end of yet another inspiring session at Vellore Toastmasters Club. I thank one and all for being with us today. Thank you, Bharat, for filling in the gap. Most of us will not be able to do that today. Thank you, so many, for taking up the role. And I cannot thank the guests because all of them have left. And by the way, Raghavi called me. He had some problem, internet connections, so she had to leave in between. We missed, otherwise she would have jumped in the table topic session. And thank you, Rithik, for showing us your true unlimited power. Good night. Goodbye. Bye-bye.